Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to part 2 of 23.0 changes and why you should care. I'm glad that at this point I've had an official title. I went through like a bunch of different like title things last video, and that's apparently the title that I've settled on. So just to show you that I actively do have my Rush Royale tab open, because I always know that I'm eventually going to reference it whenever I do these videos, because I'm going to reference, like, I don't know, some change, right? But every single time I do it, whenever I navigate back, it always resets itself, and I feel like people don't believe me when I say that, so now you know it is in fact open, but by the time I'm pretty sure by the time I decide to switch back to reference it, it refreshes and you have to like reload it again. But anyway, thank you guys for watching my last video. I'm really glad that I can make these really long videos, and a lot of you seem to watch them. So thank you guys for doing that. In a world of TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels that, you know, where people have like very short attention spans, I'm glad that you're able to sit through my very long videos and enjoy them. And you would think that if I made a 40-minute video that there wouldn't be a lot to cover, when in fact there actually is a lot to cover, and this video is, well, you can see my ending time now, because this is obviously this is already posted. I don't know how long that video is going to be, but this is going to be another very long video, because there's a lot of changes. And so we stopped at epic units. There's epic and legendary. So here we go. Cold Elemental. This is a change that I don't understand wasn't a thing to begin with. What they did was Cold Elemental had the really big problem, and I never used Cold Elemental because it's awful, but I did use it, and for the same reason why, if you didn't watch my other video, go watch my other video. The reason why this is all important information, because like you, you probably, or like me, you, probably don't use Cold Elemental either in your daily PvP co-op life. I don't know if you can hear those sirens. I don't know if they're getting closer or further away from me. But if you don't use Cold Elemental like me, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, why should I watch this video of you talking about units that I never use? And the thing is, you will use them. Some of these, sometimes. And the way that you're going to use these units, that you would never otherwise use, is Mirror Match, and Rush for Glory, and Royal Trials, and theoretically, Random Tournament. In the event modes where you're being forced to use units, or maybe some units that are at lower level because you are able to have them at higher level, and you're able to only have legendaries at level 7 or level 9, whatever the case may be, all of these units, especially because they're changing all of the way the talents are also being introduced at different levels, some of these units might become much better than a legendary unit. Case in point, Royal Trials, Alchemist is like one of the most broken things ever. And if you don't know about Alchemist, go look up my Royal Trial videos. I have a bunch of them. Lightning Mage and Alchemist are the two most broken things in those modes based on level and level cap. But the way that I used Cold Elemental was Mirror Match, when they would give you the really dumb Cold Mage, Frost, or not Cold Mage, Cold Mage, Cold Elemental. Is that what they're both called? Are they both called Cold Mage? Is it Cold Mage and Cold? Yeah. Cold Mage and Cold Elemental. The Cold Mage, Cold Elemental deck. Which is awful. It's an awful deck. But The thing that I always hated about Cold Elemental was that the shots were random. And so you just had to stack like a really high level Cold Mage and then hope that your Cold Elemental damage would deal enough damage randomly. And the only thing that saved it was the area of effect. But like bosses, you basically got hit every single boss. Like the concentration of attack was never great. And it never did enough damage for it to be the damage dealer in that deck. And I feel like that's what they made it for. It was either to enhance, so in Poisoner's case, it enhances stuff like Ivy or it enhances Venom damage, so it enhances Ivy's damage, Poisoner's damage, but to a bigger extent, it heightens Banshee's damage, right? And that's the reason why it exists. It exists as a support card. But in that Cold Mage, Cold Elemental deck, cold units don't do a lot of damage because their main purpose is to slow. So Cold Elemental is the damage dealer in that deck. But in that deck, it still felt like a support unit. So what they're doing in this patch with Priestess, Cold Elemental, and Reaper, they're making what normally are support cards into a bigger offensive damage card. So now it attacks the first target and deals increased damage to slowed targets. So not only is it more efficient because it attacks the first unit, but it also deals more damage to slowed units. So while it slows and Cold Mage slows and Frost slows, it's also dealing more damage because they are slowed. It also has a chance to release crystals at several slowed monsters. The number of targets depends on the merge rank, and at the same time, the crystal no longer does area damage and does not paralyze targets, but it inflicts increased damage. Again, because it is the damage dealer, and you should be using something else, you're using your Frost, you're using your Cold Mage, its main focus now is to deal more damage as opposed to doing more slow. The attack interval is reduced from 1.5 to 1, which is good because it'll attack more. The base attack damage is increased from 50, which was awful, and it felt very support-like, to 95, which is solid. Base attack damage increased with mana power-up is now more efficient from 20 to a staggering 50. Plus 30 is insane. Usually these numbers don't fluctuate very high, and if it ever jumps 30 points one way or another, you're gonna notice a difference. The crystal damage goes from 50 to 191, and then the crystal damage increase with mana power-up is now more efficient from 25, doubles that to 50. I'm not saying that Cold Elemental is gonna be the new meta deck. I'm just saying that now it serves the purpose that it originally did, which was to be the damage dealer in a cold-based deck. And again, it's not to say that, when Earth Elemental was introduced, it wasn't to say that, Poisoner is going to be so good now, Ivy is going to be so good, it's going to be meta, it's going to be like an engineer deck. But it just makes it better. It makes that deck better. And again, all of these units are all very early on units that you get, and in that early stage, when an Engineer deck is the best deck, and a Crystalmancer deck is the best deck, these are going to be pretty good cards. It's really, like, I'm sure a lot of you are now questioning how I'm gonna do my tier list, and that's something I'm questioning as well. If I should just make a separate tier list for commons, epics, and rares, and then make a tier list for legendaries. And because if I continue doing like total tier lists for all cards, common, epics, and rares are always going to be like D tier, C tier cards unless they have a good enough ability in the PvP meta where a common, epic, and rare could be a legendary card. Case in point, I think that Sharpshooter is a good case for a B tier, C tier level card, but everything else is kind of like a D tier, F tier card. And it'll always be that. Like a Crystalmancer is not is not meta and it doesn't do anything for the meta. So at best, it's like a D tier card. But it is a very good card if you're very low in the ranking. So in a like common epic rare list, it might be like an A tier card. Like probably not an S plus card. I think S plus is probably like a rogue. But it would be a very good card. I think I might do that because of all the changes in that they're doing to commons, epics, and rares. And I think that allows me to make a secondary tier list where there are very good commons, epics, and rares. They're just not good enough to be like meta type cards. But the idea that it's not a meta card shouldn't take away from the fact that it's not a good card. But anyway, that's me thinking to the future. Maybe that's me thanking you for watching this very long video. Thunderer. The base damage is now increased 84 to 90. Like I said, when these number fluctuations jump from 20 plus, 30 plus numbers one way or the other, you're going to really notice it. But for the most part, it looks like this, like it goes from 84 to 90. You're not going to notice this. It's better, fine, but you're not going to notice this change. Bonus damage after the mana power-up is increased from 45 to 50. That is also fine. The damage increase with level goes from 11 to 14.5%. That is also fine. I think they're looking at Thunderer as they're trying to make it a little bit more viable as a damage dealer, because right now it's basically just a support. It's something that you can throw onto a J tile and it's kind of okay. But its purpose right now is to slow the field as opposed to dealing damage to multiple targets, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 targets each merge rank. And it also has an attack, now attack +1 additional target for merge rank. The lightning strike now deals the same amount of damage as the primary attack. It attacks +1 additional target per merge rank. And that makes me think that at merge rank 1, it'll deal damage to 2 targets, and then at merge rank 2, it'll deal damage to 3 targets, and then at merge rank 3, it'll deal damage to 4 targets. This makes it better, and this makes it feel more like an epic card, which is, I think, their purpose. Whereas most people would just rather use Lightning Mage. I remember when Necromancer came out, and the Necromancer insta-kill, the Necromancer insta-kill tile came to be. People were rather using Lightning Mage because it auto attacks 3 targets and you don't have to level it up than using Thunderer where it gets better after 4, 5, and 6. I think the fact that they're making it to where it's +1 and the damage stays is very good. Because it's making this card feel more like an epic card, whereas Lightning Mage is a very first common card that you get when you first start this game, and it was outclassing it. I think this is better for Thunderer. I don't think you're gonna notice this change almost at all. It's gonna be better. It's gonna make it feel more like a better version of Lightning Mage, which it should be because it's an epic card. But I also don't think that you're going to use it. And so even though they're making it better, I still think that Lightning Mage has a faster attack. So in the J deck, you're probably still going to use Lightning Mage. But I do like the change. I do like that they're acknowledging that that the original version right now is much worse than a Lightning Mage, and they're trying to make it better. Pyrotechnic is like the weirdest nerf that I've ever seen. So in theory, it looks like it's better, but it's much worse. So base damage is reduced from 139 to 100. Obviously, really bad. That's minus 39 points. Damage for the mana power-up is increased from 45.5 to 50, which is an increase, but it's like a 4.5% increase. And the attack interval being reduced from 1.6 to 1. It's going to attack quicker, but that was never its problem. So now they change the functionality, and it makes it, I believe, much worse. Always attacks a random target. Random targets is never good. We've seen that with Cold Elemental, and Thrower is the worst unit in this game. I said this last video, but I've wanted to make a video about this for a little while now. Thrower is the worst unit in this game. You would think that Archer is the worst unit in this game because it's a damage dealer that's its main function, right? You can't say that like Bombardier is the worst unit because it doesn't do a lot of damage, or you would think that Archer is the worst damage or the worst unit in this game because its main function is to deal damage and it doesn't deal a lot of damage. Thrower is in fact the worst unit in this game because at the very least, Archer deals damage to the first enemy unit on the field. As in, you will die if an enemy reaches your gate. It doesn't matter if you've attacked. So if Archer had an ability where it said always attacks the second creature on the field, and you had no other unit, and that was the only unit in your deck, right? You would die. Because if it could only attack the second unit and it never attacked the first, the first enemy unit would hit you and you would die. It doesn't matter how many like units you take out behind that first person. If you can't kill that first person, you die. Thrower throws things randomly. So if it kills a bunch of units in the back, if it can't kill that first unit, you will die. Pyrotechnic always attacks a random unit, whether it's odd or even. It makes it a bad throw. It makes it a thrower with upside. It's literally now just a thrower with upside. Because the upside is it gains area damage if there was an odd number of pyrotechnics on the field. The damage is also increased by 30% for every merge rank. So it's gaining massive damage, it's gaining area damage, but it does not apply if there is an even amount of pyrotechnics on the field. There is a big part of me that wants to build a pyrotechnic Covenant of Veteran Knight Statue deck, because you need an even number of knight statues, but you need an odd number of pyrotechnics. And that concept is so funny to me, that both are just really awful if you don't have those specific values. I think that's such a funny concept for a deck. Like, you need to have an even amount of knight statues, but you also need to have an odd number of pyrotechnics. And I want to see if that works. I want to see how bad that is, because it sounds like a terrible deck. Wind Archer, let's go through this really quick, because we have to talk a lot about Reaper. Damage increase for mana power up is now more efficient from 30 to 35. Again, with a number this small, you're not even going to notice it. It's fine. Reaper. Like I've previously stated in this video and in my last video, and now we're finally going to talk about it. Reaper, they are trying to make a damage dealer, which is what it's classified as. So if you didn't know, if you decide to do a shaman support deck for co-op, and you have Reaper in it, Reaper is classified right now as an attack as a attack unit. So there's different units. If you've never noticed, they each all have classifications. I love that now it's not doing it. It's not doing the thing. So there's different classifications. There's debuff, support, special, and attack, I suppose. Is attack not a thing? Damage. Damage is apparently all it's in its own thing. And then support units have support, debuff, and special. There was a part of me that thought that if you put Reaper... Oh, I think that's what it was. For some reason, if you take Reaper into co-op, for some reason, it's supposed to be classified as support, but it thinks that it's damage. I think that's what it was. I think it was just a weird glitch that they had where if you if you built a shaman deck, a regular, I don't even think I have I don't have shaman support. If you do like shaman, harlequin, mime, reaper, summoner, all of which are supposed to be classified as support cards, for some reason, Reaper was always classified as an attack card, as an offensive card, and so you would be paired up with other people that have support decks as well. So you'd be paired up in co-op when you paired up randomly with another Harlequin, Shaman, Mime, Reaper, or Harlequin, Mime, Summoner, Witch deck. And then you would just auto lose. And for some reason, that was like a glitch for like a really long time. And I don't know if they fixed it because this used to be I believe this used to be, it was either that it used to be classified as an offensive card or it was always classified as a support card, but it had that glitch of you would get paired with another support deck. Even though Reaper is really just a support card. Where they're changing a lot of things with Reaper. And all of it is to support the idea that it is now going to be an offensive card more than a support card. And I actually like all of these changes because in my support deck, I really like running. I used to like running Reaper a lot because it was a card that you could use that would just kill a lot of the wave, a lot of your own wave. And in a support game with co-op, it's really good to both, if co-op is difficult for you. So currently, like with my crit percentage and whatnot in my cards, I can beat co-op level 13 by myself. I don't need a co-op support person, but if the other person can kill things quicker on their side, it makes the game faster. And if the other person is struggling, adding in a Reaper and you being able to kill all of your monsters over the course of the game makes it easier for them to not get overwhelmed if they are struggling, if your other offensive person is struggling. So I've always suggested that Reaper is a really good co-op support card for both of those reasons. It speeds up the game, and it also, if your co-op partner is struggling, it also alleviates a lot of the monsters when they get to the center. So they can kill most of their monsters, and then when they get to the center, it's not like they're killing double monsters in the case that they get overwhelmed. Reaper is now does the same thing that it always did, which was insta-kill monsters, but it also does more damage. A lot more damage, actually. And so the base damage increase goes from 39 to 50. The damage increase for the mana power-up is now more efficient from 32 to 50. Insta-kills, and this is something that I've always thought that it always did, but it doesn't. Insta-kills have a 30% chance to summon a ghost to the enemy field. The chances increase by 1% per level. Don't think about that 1%, think about the 30%. Every time you insta-kill a monster, there is a 30% chance that you can summon a monster to their field. This is going to be insane. I love this ability. I've always loved this ability. I love the ability of... I love cards' abilities to summon monsters onto your opponent's field. I love the poaching ability that Hunter has. I love Demonologist. I wish there was a support unit for summoning to your opponent's field. I wish that was a thing. I love that Vampire summons a white every time you bite something with a lord. I think that one's a great one. if you haven't used the Vampire Bite ability, the level 15 ability, to kill somebody immediately, it's so funny. If they are going to get hit by a boss, you just bite something with your Lord, and it summons it in front of the boss. And so if they're about to die, you immediately kill them because they get hit with the white and they get hit with the boss. It's so funny. I've been meaning to make a video about that and how good that ability is, but I just haven't. Anyway, the chance, so think about it as a 30% chance to summon a ghost, and then I'm actually going to jump down to the ability that you're going to use with this, and it's the Walking Dead. It's the level 13 ability, or I think it's a level 13. No, they changed all the numbers. It's the third Ascension. The talent has been changed and is available with the third Ascension. Now it additionally increases the movement speed of ghosts by 25, and the chance of summoning them is increased by 50%. This is 80% that goes up with merge rank, which is why the merge rank thing is 1% only. 80% at level, what is it? It's not level 13 anymore. I think it's 11. Epic units are at, no, it is still at 13. They changed the first two. 30%. You have 80%. You have an 80% chance of whenever you kill a monster with the Reaper ability, that it's going to send it to your opponent's field. That's insanity. That's absolute insane. Trophy Skull, increased bonus chance for killing monsters with the power-up goes from 0.35 to 0.5. The chance for insta-kill with unit level up is decreased from 0.2 to 0.15. It's crazy. I think that Reaper is going to be very good. The Trophy Skull ability is now something that you will actively use, as opposed to before where it never made sense to use it, because before you were never using Reaper to deal damage. With the increases in damage, the Trophy Skull ability is now much more appealing. It's available with the first Ascension. The Trophy Skull increases the damage done by all Reapers by 3.5 and by 0.3 after 150 skulls. Again, something that they're doing with this patch is giving less than legendaries, commons, epics, and rares, an ability where they're gaining percentage damage forever. Infinite percentage damage. And infinite percentage damage, even though it doesn't scale as well as legendaries, is better than what they were before. When they had a fixed amount of damage where you could only, like for Priestess, you get candles, yes, but it stops after 80 candles. Now you're getting percentage boosts, and then after a certain point, you're still going to get a percentage boost, but it's lower. So you have infinite percentage damage over the course of the game. They're adding that to Reaper, making this a much better damage dealer. 3.5 for 150 insta-kills is crazy. And then still being able to get 0.3 after that, if the game goes that long, is crazy. Mortal Harvest, the talent is now available with the first Ascension. Chance for area attack is increased 25 to 30. You don't care about this. The Trophy Skull is so far and away better than this ability. Deadly Throw, again, Walking Dead is the thing that you're going to use. Deadly Throw it has a 10% chance for the scythe to ricochet to a random boss or mini boss on the field. When there's a boss on the field, that's the only thing on the field. When there are minions and mini bosses on the field, I don't think that 10% chance is really going to matter. And so you're going to just want to kill things because you will probably still be using this as a support card, just in general. I would still recommend using this as a quote-unquote support card, but it's technically a second offensive card. And then Death Wish. New talent available with the fourth Ascension, merging the One second. Sorry about that. I know that when I go into coughing fits, drinking water just makes me cough more, and so I didn't want to deal with that. Death Wish, new talent available with 4th Ascension. Merging the Reaper now increases the attack speed of other Reapers by 25% for 10 seconds. This isn't something that I would ever recommend. I don't like activated abilities, abilities where it forces you to merge them, because now you're just having less of them. But it's, it's a 15 talent. You're gonna have it just because. And I suppose that with the damage that it is doing, merging stuff at bosses would probably be really good. If you decide to try to build like a straight Reaper deck to be your actual damage dealer, this is going to be a very good ability. I just don't like activated ability, so I don't necessarily want to talk about it any more than that. I'm very excited to run Reaper now, because Reaper has fallen off a lot. And I think that this change is pretty big for it. And I'm actually very excited to do a character spotlight for Reaper as soon as this update drops. Catapults. I think that this is a really good ability. It's a one sentence line, but I think that it's something that Catapult needed. The attack interval will now be reduced with the increase of the unit merge rank from 0% to 20%. The fact that it is now going to be faster was its main problem. It dealt so much damage, but the thing that held Catapult back was the fact that it attacked every 3 seconds. Or was it even worse than that? Was it worse than that? No, it was every 3 seconds. And that never changed with mana level or merge rank. It always attacked every 3 seconds. And so even though it dealt massive damage and had the ability to stun, the 3-second interval was always the biggest detriment to it. And speaking of, Crystalmancer. High Arcanus, damage for every charge up to 500 is reduced from 2.5 to 2, but the damage for every charge after 500 is increased from 0.25 to 0.4. I never knew that that's how Crystalmancer worked. High Arcanus is obviously the one to use, but I never understood how it worked. I never understood, because of the wording of Crystalmancer's ability, the High Arcanus ability, I never understood that you were getting a damage boost every single charge. I thought there was a flat rate charge as soon as you got to 500. This makes more sense, and they're kind of making it worse. So after 500, it's going to be better, but before 500, it's much worse. I think that's because people were racing to 500 very, very quickly. And because High Arcanus is your damage dealer in the Crystalmancer deck, and you're relying all of your eggs into the one basket, it makes sense for you to want to get, just a million charges on the thing. I still don't think it's a good deck, specifically because of the catapult problem. It attacks every 3 seconds. So once the boss health becomes more than you can deal as a crit damage, you just die. That's when you just die. Because if you hit a Bedlam and it doesn't auto kill it, and then you have to wait 3 seconds for it to hit it again, and if that doesn't kill it and you are able to, get that second shot, you just get Bedlammed and you die. And because you're putting all of your eggs into the High Arcanus basket, I don't think it's good. Especially when you get into theoretical double, triple bosses, you're not going to be able to kill things that quickly. And that's where I find it drops off. If you can't outpace boss health with the Crystalmancer because it's dealing it every 3 seconds and you can't change that, you can't add a Knight statue or a banner or do anything to change it, and it's always that amount of time, I don't think it's good. It's fine as an early person unit, but I feel like it has such cool potential that is hampered by the fact that it's a 3-second pause. And it makes it so that if you can't outpace the boss health, you just die. Sea-Dog is the biggest nerf for this patch, and it's again not something I see in my own PvP meta, and it's not something that I use because I have like a level 7 or a level 8. But the number of ghosts being reduced from 2 to 1 and after 20 treasures 3 to 2 is a big change. Being able to pop treasures and neutralize 2 units and then 2 units, and then once you get to 20 treasures, 3 units and 3 units and 3 units, that was insane. And that is why Sea-Dog was classified as being just overpowered. The Ghost was the best ability, and the fact that they're changing that to such a dramatic degree, which is, and I say dramatic degree, where it goes from 2 to 1 and goes from 3 to 2, it's big. It would be like changing Robot to whenever, actually, you know, it would be like when it went from, it stuns 2 things whenever it's merged and no other time. And then they changed it to whenever it appears on the field or is merged and stuns 2 things. It would be like if they changed it to go from what it was before, to where it was like it stuns 2 things whenever it's merged, to it stuns 1 thing whenever it's merged. Like, that's a big change. It doesn't sound like a big change, but that is a very big change. With how difficult it is to get treasures on the field, you have to merge Sea-Dogs to begin with, just to get a treasure. And then you have to dig up the treasure to get the ability, and then and for it to only stop one random thing on their field, it's not a lot. 2 was solid, and I don't think that needed to change. I think that they could have just made it that, you know, like after 20 treasures. I think 3 is too much. I think 2 was solid. I don't know if they could have like made it an ability where it just gives you 2 after 20 treasures, or it gives you 3 after 20. How would I do it? 1 is just one on activation is so bad. 3 is too good. But then you can't have it like be 2 and 2. I guess this was the best ability. I guess this was the best way to do it. Just to be 1 and 2. Because you can't do it as 0 and 2, because then that would be just much worse. And it would be this, but worse. Yeah, you know what? After reasoning through this in my head, I guess this was the only change that they could have made. Like, 3 is too good, and 1 is terrible. 2 is the best, but then it doesn't give you a bonus if you go from 0 treasures to 20 treasures, when the mechanic of Sea-Dog is that it gets better after 20 treasures. Yeah, I guess this is fine. Explosive surprises, which is the other reason why people ran Sea-Dog. The number of bomb is reduced from 3 to 2, and the delay before the blast is increased from 2 seconds to 5 seconds. 3 bombs was insanity. And I think changing it from 3 to 2 makes it less crazy. But I do think that the delay before the blast going from 2 to 5 now puts it on par with like a shaman. You have so much reaction time to that, to move or to like Harlequin it away or something, or to move it away, that I think it makes this much worse. I agree with like changing it from 3 to 2, but changing it from 2 to 5 seconds makes it so that this doesn't do a lot. And because it only even activated on rare treasures, which you don't get very often, I think that was an over nerf. But because they did it, Sea Dog is gonna be much worse. I think noticeably much worse. 1 second. Demon Hunter is the silliest change that is here for this patch. Absorption of Evil. The bonus after 90 spheres is reduced from 1% to 0.5. My first thought on this is if you never got to 90 activations, 90 spheres, this is not even going to affect you at all. If you were playing games and you never got to above 90 spheres, you're not even going to feel this change. So, because I think 90 spheres is a lot of activations. And for the people that got to 200, 500 spheres, I suppose they're going to kind of feel this. They're going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't deal a lot of damage this round. But still, you're still going to do amazing amounts of damage. Like, make no mistake, it's not that big of a change. It's a change. It's not that big of a change. Demon Hunter is not going to be nerfed into the ground with this change. And their reasoning is the silliest reasoning I've ever heard. The Absorption of Evil talent is noticeably more popular than the Twilight Hunting talent and has great potential at high level. We want to make these talents more similar in effectiveness so that the player might use both variants of gameplay equally. Let me take you a history of the Demon Hunter post like all of these patches. When the Demon Hunter talents got introduced, Twilight Hunting was the preferred talent over the two. They noticed this and made Absorption of Evil better. So then everybody started running Absorption of Evil and just didn't care about Twilight Hunting. Now, apparently, they're like, you know what? Absorption of Evil is too powerful and everybody's using it. So we're going to weaken that so that maybe you'll use Twilight Hunting again. Yeah, I don't know. You're not going to notice this change. This is a nerf, but it's not any kind of serious nerf, especially if you never got to 90 spheres to begin with. And the fact that they're trying to push people toward Twilight Hunting or to make them both equal, I don't know. The way that this game is built, them even trying to use the word equal is silly. Because of the nature of this game, there will, or a game like this, there is, or any game, maybe, there is always a best. There is always a best unit. There is always a best version of something. And whether or not you find it, or some pro-level player finds it, it will be found. There is always a better version, and people will use that better version. Why do you think the Alchemist Lightning Mage deck is the most run deck in Rush for Glory? Or, I'm sorry, Royal Trials. It's because it's the best. It beats everything. And unless they change that, and even if they do change that, then something else will be the best. Then maybe, if they nerf both of those cards in that mode specifically, like you can only use, you can't use Golem, right? And that's the whole reason why Alchemist is good. You can't even use Lightning Mage. So you can't use Lightning Mage and you can't use the Golem talent for Alchemist. All right, well, Demon Hunter is now the best. There will always be the best. Monk is now the best. Oh, okay. You want to change that so everything is more equal? There will always be something that is the best. And there's no way for you to feasibly make things equal. And so using the word equal in this game is just silly. And I shudder every single time a developer uses that word. Oh, we're trying to make the everything just have more equal playing ground. It's like, no. There is better things than other things. It's why Blade Dancer players, like myself, scream for a quote-unquote equality. Like, how come you can't make Blade Dancer better? Blade Dancer has never been in the meta ever. Ever. It has never been the best card. And they're saying that it plays how it should. It's like, okay, well, it dies to almost everything. and you're trying to equalize the two Demon Hunter talents of the best thing, of the best unit that is out there. I didn't get to it yet, but they talk about this with Riding Hood. Riding Hood is one of the strongest and most popular units at every upgrade level. Defeating it is possible, if difficult, and only with certain decks. Those certain decks are other Riding Hood decks, Demon Hunter decks, and Demon Hunter decks. That's it. The only thing that ever came close to it was the Necromancer Toxic deck, which they have now nerfed because they've nerfed Sea Dog. Every time they use, we're trying to make things equal, this game isn't equal, and it never will be, and you have to understand that as a fact. But I hate when like a developer says, we're trying to make things equal. That's what bothers me. I understand that things will never be equal, and I'm not mad at that. That's just how these games are. But if the developer is saying like, we're just trying to even the playing field, we're going to nerf this to even the playing field. It's like, no, you're not. Because Blade Dancer is a legendary card, and it's still not on par at all with any of these other cards. But that's my rant. Furious Brotherhood. Again, let's try to make things equal. The Clover damage is increased from 7.5 to 10. I still wouldn't recommend it. Awakening Rage is still better. After being changed, the Bruiser has started to lag behind other units at high levels, so we're increasing his damage as well as slightly enhancing his less popular talent of the first circle, Furious Brotherhood. We're trying to make things equal. Night Statue, I love this change. I'm very excited for this. The crit damage increase for Hold the Line is now better from 10 to 15. Stone Legion, which you're never going to use unless you're running the Night Statue only deck, which is hilarious, goes from 0.7 to 0.1. I'm sorry, 0.7 to 1. You're not even going to notice that, even if you were doing that. But Soul of a Warrior is the big change. So this is the level 15 talent that attacks. The base throw interval goes from 10 seconds to 5 seconds, which is insanity. The interval decrease per neighbor goes from 2 seconds to 1 second. So originally at max, if you had a Night Statue, it was 10 seconds. Decreased by 2 every single person around it. 2, 4, 6, 8. It went down to 2 seconds per attack. Now it's 5 seconds with an interval decrease by 1 second for everything around it. 4. It goes down to 1 second. Night Statue is going to be popping off. Night Statue at max with 4 units around it is going to be 1 second intervaling everything. And the armor reduction is even getting increased from 20 to 25. We'll talk about it in a second, as soon as I drink water and clear my throat. The armor reduction going from 20 to 25% is also going to be a noticeable change. So not only is your Night Statue going to throw swords at the rate of 1 second, but it's also going to armor reduce 25%. This is a crazy change. They said that they're doing this to make it better, or to make it equivalent to Enchant Sword and Witch. I think it's better than Enchant Sword. I don't think it's better than Witch. The damage increase that you're getting from Witch is insane. And then Witch also is also giving you insta-kill. Insta-kill, if you weren't paying attention, is infinitely better than armor reduction. 25% armor reduction. You're not going to be able to beat that. When it starts to get late in the rounds, and the reason why Witch decks go for so long in the Riding Hood deck and in the Demon Hunter deck is because insta-kill is forever. And the fact that what's it called? I don't know what it's called. I want to know. Unstable Magic. The fact that Unstable Magic gives you a chance to insta-kill common monsters when they start going into the millions of health. When you start getting like 3 million health monsters, giving a 3 million health regular monster 25% armor reduction is not going to be as good as being able to just straight kill the monster. It's better. It's better than what it was before. It is not going to be better than Witch. That is the reason why every deck is running Witch, and why Witch is one of the best support cards right now, or the best support card right now. Like, other than Dryad, Witch is the best support card. It actually might even be just straight up the best support card. But yeah, it's probably going to be better than Enchant Sword. I'd probably run it quicker than I would run Enchant Sword. But yeah, it's not going to be better than Witch. Summoner change is a really big change. They're changing the Oracle percentage, but that's not what I want to focus on here. They are changing the enhanced summoning to where it no longer summons a unit or activates other talents when using the replacement ability. So originally, the enhanced summoning ability was the best ability because you could summon in a summoner and then immediately replace it, giving you another unit and replacing the summoner. You are +1 unit for 1 mana summon in. And that was insane. You could literally summon in 5 summoners and have 10 units and not summon in anything else. And your summon cost is still the same as 5 units. That ability was crazy. And that is why I specifically upgraded my summoner to 9. Currently, it is going to replace the summoner that is on the field, which is already in and of itself good, because when you summon in, like when you merge something and it becomes like a level 5 summoner, that just becomes a useless thing on your field, and now you have to find another level 5 summoner in order to merge them, and that's why I will never recommend you use the other one. And it's still going to be good, but you're not going to be +1 a unit. And so it's going to force you to want to maybe merge 2 units. It's going to make you use, it's going to force you to want to merge 2 summoners in order to get 2 units. I don't think it's bad. I do think it's much worse. And it does make you kind of feel bad about leveling it up to level 9, but it's still going to be fine, because at the very least, you will not have a dead card on your field. And that's what multiple summoning will do to you. Merging up high-level merges and getting a high-level summoner that you now need another high-level summoner to get rid of, and at which point you could merge 2 level 5 summoners and get a level 6 summoner. Enhanced summoning is still going to be better, but it is going to be noticeably not as good as what it used to be. Inquisitor is just damage. After a series of changes, the unit has become noticeably weaker. We want to increase the interest for this unit, so we're increasing the damage it deals. I've seen gameplay from different accounts recounting damage, like seeing how much of a damage increase it is. It's a damage increase, but when you take this against things that are currently in the meta, like a Demon Hunter or like a Riding Hood, it's better. It's still not as good. It's still not going to be like the next meta card, as it was for, multiple seasons in a row where Inquisitor was the best unit. It is still not going to be the best unit. It doesn't scale as well as a Demon Hunter or Riding Hood. It's going to be better than what it currently is, but not by much. Even though all of these are increases in damage and Night Statue is getting a bonus, I'm going to be very interested to see where this fits in the new meta with the Night Statue change and with the Inquisitor change. But from what I've seen, I don't think it's much better. It is better. I don't know if it's much better. Riding Hood, The mana for merge rank above the first goes from 40 to 20. That's a decrease. Damage for mana power-up is reduced from 99 to 70. That is a major decrease. Wolf's Nature, the mana production is increased from 25 to 50 because that was the one that nobody used. And then the Alpha Wolf, damage increase up to 50 is now smaller from 0.6 to 0.4. Damage increase after 50 is now smaller from 0.2 to 0.15. I think this is a much bigger decrease. This is a much bigger decrease than the Demon Hunter decrease. I think that Riding Hood players are now going to very noticeably notice this change because these are all negatives. There's no way to spin this. There's obviously the positive for the mana production for Wolf's Nature, but that was the one that nobody used, and that's why they're doing that. But the damage decreases across the board. I think that they're trying to make it. They're trying to make the things equal. I think that it's still going to scale as well as it has been, and so I don't know if this isn't going to make it some terrible unit or anything, even though these are all negatives, because it still scales very well. Because all you have to do is summon in units and eat them, and you get a charge, and that is a very easy activation. When we thought that Dark Inquisitor had the easiest activation, where you just have to summon in and eventually you'll get you'll get an Inquisitor and it eats that and gets charges. What if you could summon in anything and eat that and it gets charges? It's one of the easiest activations to get charges. And I think it's still going to be fine. Gift of the Raven, which is the damage increase talent for Witch, they're reducing it from 15 to 10. I don't know if this is a big enough change. I think Witch is still going to be good. Maybe not as good. And like they said with Night Statue, maybe this is making it on par with the other things. I still think it's going to be good not because of Gift of the Raven, but because of Unstable Mutation and being able to insta-kill things. Being able to insta-kill things on a unit that is already supporting you is crazy. It's not like adding in a Reaper to your deck and it only doing the one thing. The fact that Witch increases your unit's damage and insta-kills monsters, that's double advantage. It's like Fairy of Rage Dryad. Not only is it leveling up your cards, but it is also adding damage. It's like Gift of the Oracle on Summoner. Not only are you always having good cards because you can use the replacement summon, but you're also increasing your crit percentage and your damage with the same card. Cards with upside, with damage and crit percentage and insta-kill upsides as support cards are always going to be the best support card. As opposed to like a Harley Quinn that has nothing. And that's why most people stopped running Harley Quinn, because it's not giving you anything. And then the last change is the counterspell change. I know that Small Shamer, as a high-end, like end-game level player, said that this is his favorite, biggest change. It was never something that I would ever notice, but when you go into like high-level play and everybody is running like triple legendary counterspells or even regular counterspells and they're stunning 3 units for 20 seconds, I can understand how crazy that would be. The duration of stun is decreased from 15 seconds to 4 seconds for the epic. The legendary going from 20 to 5. It's a giant change. If you were ever relying on the stun to kill your opponent, this is going to be a noticeable change. It's just another way for you to never or for you to be able to fight back. And with the Sea Dog change, I can't even imagine that meta with like Necromancer, Sea Dog with its original status, and then like triple epic legendary counter spells on your equipment. I can't even imagine that crap. that's like just stuns from everywhere and just infinite like time to stuns from everywhere. And so I completely understand the need for this change, but if you were never in high level legendary, gameplay, you're not going to notice this change. But it is a change that probably needed to happen because of high end players. But yeah, that's thank you for sitting through this entire video. Both of these videos, they're very long, and I'm very excited to make a lot of videos for this new patch. I'm excited for a lot more units than you'd think. I'm excited for Reaper. I'm excited to see how good Inquisitor is. I'm excited to see Knight Statue and how much better that is. But yeah, there's a lot of things in this patch. Priestess got completely changed. I'm excited for that. What else am I excited for? Rogue. Let's go, Rogue. Yeah. Like, I like that they did this. I like that they're upgrading like a bunch of commons, epics, and rares, so that they're better for newer players. And as soon as I come out with my tier list, I'm probably going to separate the tier list now. Now it feels like I should probably separate it. Now that they're making so many commons, epics, and rares good units in their own right, I think I'm going to make a separate tier list for commons, epics, and rares, and then a separate tier list for legendaries.